you find yourself in the dry, dusty plains of Ethiopia. A row of bulls stand lined up side by side. They're uneasy, shifting their weight with nervous energy. What's going on, you wonder? Around them, a community gathers, chanting, their voices rising with the tension in the air. What's they up to, you wonder? In the center, a young man readies himself, eyes focused, breath rising and falling. What's he doing, you wonder? Suddenly, with an explosion of energy, he starts running towards the bulls on a collision course with the beasts. The crowd chants louder and louder, whipping him as he charges by until, incomprehensibly, into the air he leaps, and onto the backs of the bulls, jumping from one onto the next and onto the next. As he leaps off the last bull and lands with both feet on the ground, the atmosphere shifts from tension and adrenaline to the unmistakable sense of triumph. As your bewilderment fades to mere curiosity, the answer to all of your previous questions step forward in unison. Tradition. This is the Hamar bull jumping ceremony in Ethiopia, an ancient rite of passage for a man to prove he is ready for marriage, the continuation of an unbroken chain of tradition going back generations. So old, no one even questions why they do it. No one wonders why it persists, and no one remembers it ever having been born. Traditions can appear quite odd to us when they're unfamiliar, quite alien when far away. Unlike blowing out candles on a birthday, leaving money out for the tooth fairy, or decorating a Christmas tree, when we haven't grown up with them, haven't been immersed in them, a strangeness becomes ever more prominent. A bull jumping ceremony in Ethiopia might have struck you as odd, but we're just scratching the surface of just how absurd tradition is. If you really stop and look at her with fresh eyes, shake the dust off of her, loosen the concept from its hinges, you might truly see her for what she is. A mystery, an enigma, a riddle in the skies. So riddle me this. What is passed on through memory, yet no one remembers where it came from? Provides meaning to peoples everywhere, yet means nothing in and of itself. Gives us rules that we obey without question, yet no one knows what they mean. Has no defining features, yet is recognized by all. Would cease to exist if we stopped attending to her, yet we do so without her ever having to explain why we should. Binds people together with more force than any other, but itself is made of air. Outlives cathedrals, castles, and palaces, yet serves less function than even the most meager brick in their walls. So then, do we dismiss her? For she is nonsensical? Because she serves no function? Because she's so tediously familiar? No, no, and no again, for those things that are absurd yet universal, serve no purpose yet are indispensable, are the most worthy of exploration. Beneath their mysteries lay treasures, buried so deep that uprooting them reveals hidden truths about our very nature. Especially when they're familiar. Nothing hides the profound more than the familiar. I can actually reveal the answer to the mystery of tradition right now. Traditions are vessels at sea, sheltering embers which dance when we enter and then sleep until the next breath. This may not mean very much at this stage, nor should it, for some truths can't simply be told. They require an experience, a journey, an unraveling. So let's start unraveling. Your lead curator for the Museum of Ethiopia. The museum has just moved to a new building. Space is limited, so every artifact must be carefully evaluated. The weight of this responsibility is not lost on you. You feel the identity of a people, the legacy of a nation, the lifeline of history pressing into your shoulders. It's an impossible task, but you manage to make decisions on nearly every piece. Now, only 2 artifacts remain. But there's room for just one, and this decision is proving to be the hardest yet. You deliberate one last time, making the case for each. To your left, there is the chair the Emperor Menelik II sat on during council meetings, a ruler who reunited Ethiopia, forging a fractured land into a unified empire. This chair didn't just support his weight, it cradled his hesitation, his confidence, his doubts, the grooves on the armrest, a testament to where he gripped when tensions rose. The seat seems to breathe with the memory of hours spent shaping the direction of a nation. It wasn't just furniture, it was a silent confidant, one that bore his burdens as faithfully as any advisor. And to your right is a drum struck by the same ruler in moments of proclamation to his people. This drum wasn't a passive observer. It thundered with his will, trembling upon the force of his hands. His tension, his power, his energy was absorbed by it, each strike an echo of his convictions. It was also the heartbeat of his people, the rhythm that united them in times of fear and celebration. The scoreline reads 100 points each. The matchup ends in stalemate. You go to bed and think about it tomorrow. This scenario might sound fantastical. The choice might sound far removed from any you would ever have to make yourself, but have you ever found yourself clearing out clutter and having to decide what to keep? The old watch your grandmother gave you, just leather and silver, yet heavy from an emotional weight captured inside of it. A faded photo from a decade ago. It's just paper, but somehow it holds a piece of you. It's remarkable how a simple object can seem to carry a heartbeat of its own. A faded photo, an old watch, a chair, a drum, they're just things, and yet they aren't. They become containers, repositories, vessels, storing memory, connection, identity, emotion, meaning. Vessels of meaning, they are. And here's the thing, they don't only exist in museums or sentimental piles of clutter. Vessels of meaning are all around us. Once you start noticing them, you'll see them everywhere. In fact, our entire lives are defined by them, shaped by them, guided by them. Keep walking with me. I'll show you how. The world is a sea of meaning. Vast, formless, endlessly shifting. A haze of feelings, values, and ideals, good and bad intertwined, truth and fiction wear the same clothing, everything blurs together. The world offers no solid edges, nothing fits into neat shapes. Justice, hope, love, liberty, virtue, compassion, courage, purpose, all too vast to define. Who has ever seen them with clarity, traced their outline, felt their contours? As many as who have traced the outline of the sea, the vast, formless, endlessly shifting sea. How can we ever make sense of such a world? How can we survive in such chaos? How can we navigate such waters? Well, we create anchors. We take vast, abstract, complex ideas, feelings, or values, and concentrate them into something concrete, compact, into something we can touch, see, or hold. Now, what if I told you that mere rock could store up sacrifice and resilience? That the arrangement of colors could represent freedom and opportunity? That fingers in a palm could be equated with defiance and solidarity? A metallic alloy with opulence and luxury? A limbless reptile with deception and treachery? A shape with innovation and elegance? A hat with accomplishment and perseverance? Oil against cloth with wonder and chaos? An outfit with justice and retribution? The above include symbols, artifacts, stories, art, architecture. Some are physical, some intangible, some modern, some historic. They have nothing in common except this. They store up ideals, identity, values, memory, connection, emotion, you name it, anything too vast to be defined. anything too formless to fit into neat shapes, which normally turns out to be anything we humans find the most meaningful. Vessels of meaning they are. Now, what if I told you that performing an athletic feat on the backs of mammals could contain within it the forging of a person's new identity, the transition from boyhood to manhood, the very heart of a culture? At this point, it should be clearer that this isn't mere rhetoric or hyperbole, but a very real representation of how the human mind navigates the world, how it attempts to survive the chaos. By taking the vast, formless, endlessly shifting sea and distilling it and concentrating it into things we can see with clarity, things we can trace their outline or feel the contours of. Traditions, symbols, artifacts, stories, art, architecture, one of these is not like the others. One is quite unique indeed. It's dynamic, it has energy, it's living, so alive, it feeds off the energy of a tribe, a nation, a people, just to sustain it. And for this very purpose, this one vessel allows us to open it up and enter inside it. As we approach the final layer of the mystery, let's pause for a moment. Let's sit and inspect tradition, her nature, her form, her rhythm, her cadence. What clues can we glean which will take us to her very essence? I have one. Traditions occur only on occasion. They tend to be performed for a brief period, then not at all. Again, for a brief period, then not at all. We open up the vessel for a brief period, then close it for a while. Again we open it, again we close it. Now, when the vessel is closed, the meaning goes to sleep, it lays dormant. But what happens when it's open? What happens when we partake in traditions? You see, unlike other vessels of meaning, traditions, they turn meaning into something we can do, something we can participate in, something we can actively experience. It's the wedding dress we wear, the Christmas tree we decorate, the leap across pools. We wear the meaning, we hold the meaning, we breathe in the meaning, we embody the meaning, we dance with it, hand in hand. In these actions, we open up the vessel and enter inside. And every time we do so, every time we participate in tradition, we create new memories, emotions, and personal connections on top of the meaning already inside. We keep the meaning alive, we turn it into something lived and felt, like blowing on an ember. We fuel it, breathe life into it, impart our own energy to it. And then we let the ember sleep, allowing the vessel to quietly shelter its meaning until the next moment it's needed, when someone else will come along, open it and breathe life into it once more. And we all take part in it together. We all hold hands around a fire brimming with the energy of a tribe, a nation, a people across space and time. And here lies the heart of the mystery and the fulfillment of a promise. Traditions are vessels at sea, sheltering embers, which dance when we enter and then sleep until the next breath.